How do you feel about college football right now? Are you excited about the future? Are you nervous? Are you scared? Do you not look forward to the future? What really matters to fans is what I want to talk about. It's really all we ever want to talk about. It's how I frame the entire show. So this will be no different. What matters to you as a college football fan? Don't look to your left or right. I mean, right now, whether you're in your car or you're on your recliner, what matters to you? Do you care about conference realignment? Do you care about NIL? Do you care that players make money or not? Do you care about how many teams are in a conference? Do you care about how hard it is to build and maintain a roster for a college head coach? Or do you care about your tailgating experience? Do you care about your ticket prices continuing to escalate? Which of these things matter and which don't? There's, I think, a little bit too much of an engine strapped on some of those topics. I think, this is my personal take, so I'm a fan just like you are. My personal take is, I think we talk way too much about NIL. I think the mechanisms of the transfer portal get talked about way too much. The portal itself, the players themselves, by all means, we talk about them as well. But I was over at Media Days all week, and I talked to a lot of people about this, but I think, and this is the third time that we've plugged this guy over the summer because he's doing great work, even though he doesn't work for this company, David Ubben over at The Athletic had the brilliantly simplistic idea of going to you. We do that all the time. He did it, and he said, in kind of a poll format, what matters to you? And how excited are you about the future of college football? I looked at the results. This is over on The Athletic. I looked at the results, and I said, wow, that speaks to me a little bit. Enough so that I told Jesse at about 4:30, hey, forget Media Days. I actually want to talk about this to lead the show. So they asked in this poll on a 1 to 10 scale, like 1 being the most nervous about the future, 10 being the most excited about the future, how do you feel about the future of college football? And 53% of you were between a 7 and a 10. So a majority of college football fans are really excited about the future. And that's exactly what I pick up from you guys. That is no different than the interactions I have with you in airports or in our comments section or in my DMs or email. And that number, I would argue, is even still a little watered down because when some fans say, I'm not excited about the future, it may just be a fan that's not excited about the coach that their team just hired. So they don't think they're going to be good. But if you were to rephrase it and say, forget about your team, holistically, the sport, how do you feel about it? Even some of them would say, I'm pretty excited. Okay, I get what you're saying. I'm pretty excited. So I actually think that number in real life is closer to 60%. I think about 6 in 10 of you are on a 1 to 10 scale, about a 7 to 10 excited about the future of the sport. Well, that begs the question for me, where is all this talk coming from about this and that destroying college football? I've heard people talk about NIL in those terms. I've heard people talk about the transfer portal in those terms. I've heard people talk about the potential future of employment status, or stati, because there are multiple players. I've heard people talk about that as being a detriment to the point of destroying the sport. It's obviously not destroying college football. College football is really what fans care about. The fabric of the sport is what fans care about. The field's always going to be the same dimensions. The jerseys are always going to be the same color. So really, when we get down to the nuts and bolts, or as Nick Saban would say, when we pull the cake out of the oven, you cut into that thing, it's not what a writer or a commentator really cares about. It's what you care about. Like, it's what we, fans, it's what we care about. You guys just flat out don't care about a lot of that stuff. You'll notice we didn't lead the show tonight, nor will we have anything in the show tonight about Congress and NIL. I don't think you care. I really think you read those headlines and you click right past them, as I do, and I just tell people, hey, let me know when you got something. Like, do we have anything? Okay, maybe you do care. I don't care about it, and I don't get the sense that you guys do. So here's what you do care about. You do care about conference realignment. That's what I found from this piece on The Athletic, and that is exactly what I've gotten from you. So nothing in this article surprised me. None of the results surprised me. The biggest issue, that's what David Ubben asked in this article from The Athletic. The biggest issue facing college football is what? To you. What is it to you? And NIL got some run. Lack of parity, surprisingly low turnout for lack of parity, even though I'm told that is just an astronomical threat to the future of the sport. Portal, roster management, like that got some push too. You know what the number one consensus response to the biggest issue facing college football was? Conference realignment. That's what you don't like. You don't like a team from Southern California playing a team from New Jersey in conference play. You like the territoriality. You like the regionality. You like the fact that this sport was made up of regions representing things more so than just a sticker that represents things. The Big Ten used to be a region. Now it's a sticker. The Pac-12, I don't actually know what the Pac-12 is going to be, so let's table that. The SEC, extending all the way from the coast to Texas. Texas touches New Mexico, which touches Arizona, which touches California, which touches the Pacific Ocean, which touches Japan, kids. So just, basically inches away from playing in the Asian Pacific realm. That's where we're at, college football right now. So you guys don't like that. I'm not crazy about it either. Now, we have acknowledged on this show, and I'll acknowledge again, there is some hypocrisy. It's probably not hypocrisy, but they'll call us hypocrites when we lash out against conference realignment, but then we're really excited to tune in to Alabama versus Oklahoma. You hypocrites, I thought you said you hated this. We hate the spirit of it. We'd love this matchup. In fact, we'd take Alabama versus Oklahoma every year. Could you give it to us as an out-of-conference game? Whomst amongst us wouldn't watch that? And the third question that I wanted to touch on tonight. Has the enjoyment of college football consumption changed for you over the last 10 years? Do you enjoy it less, more, the same? Now, before I give you the result, and there are like a dozen more really good poll results in this feature. It's behind a paywall, so I'm not giving it to you for free. That would be unethical. But I'm asking you again, do you think your consumption experience is better, worse, or the same than it was a decade ago, if you've been around a decade watching college football? A vast majority of you said it's the exact same, or just about the exact same. There were fringe minorities that said it's way better and way worse. But as I expected, vast majority of you right there still in the middle. There may be some things you don't love or care for. Newsflash, there always were those things. No one's ever been completely, totally in harmony with every aspect of college football. I mean, half of you have been bent out of shape your entire lives that Notre Dame's not in a conference. Did it ruin watching Clemson versus Florida State for you? Of course it didn't. Nor is a kid having 10 grand extra in his back pocket because he did a commercial with Popeye's Chicken going to really impact your viewership of North Carolina versus Boston College this fall, if they play each other. So I was over at Media Days today, and I was on with T-Bob and Jacob Hester, the guys from On the Bench, shout out, fellow Corn Hub members. And we talked about this, and I said, a lot of folks say a lot of things are ruining everything around here, but really it's not. Really it's not. I always go back to this. Those of you who listen to the show pretty hardcore, you know where I'm about to go. Let's just pick a matchup. Let's pick Texas, Oklahoma. Okay, so here's my litmus test for whether college football is being destroyed or whether it's fine. Because this is what matters to me. I'm answering the poll question now. Here's what matters to me. Red River Shootout this fall. Texas OU. Brent Venables coming off barely making a bowl game. Sark and company looking to elevate from an 8-win season to winning the Big 12 championship game. They know they got to go through each other. It's a heated rivalry. The smell of funnel cakes are thick in the air at the Texas State Fair. And it's 31-31. There are 5 minutes and change left to go in the fourth quarter. It is 4th and 2. Texas is on the OU 31-yard line, and Sark has chosen to go for it over kicking a field goal because they're 1 for 4 on field goals that day. Play clock is at 8, 7, 6. Half that stadium's roaring. Half that stadium's chewing their fingernails to the nub. Hit the pause button right now. What matters to you? Do you care about NIL? Do you care about the portal? Do you care about how many of those kids didn't originally commit to Texas or OU out of high school? Or do you just care about the vibe that's being given off, whether you're watching on TV or you're fortunate enough to be in the Cotton Bowl in that moment? What are you soaking in? I'm soaking in that moment because that moment feels the same way to me in 2023 as it did in 2003. As for some of you, it did in 1973. As long as you have that, that's college football. As long as you tailgated the night before and the day of at the Texas State Fair for that game, you've got college football. As long as I'm watching a Longhorn run out onto the field, as long as I'm watching that Sooner Schooner take the field, as long as I'm watching that stuff happen, I got college football. And I may not have every mechanism in place exactly how I want it, but I got college football. So it hasn't been ruined for me at all. I got news for you. It's not going to be ruined. I would quit long before it got ruined for me. And it's not anywhere close to being ruined. So I just thought that was interesting. You know, on the last day of Media Days, David Ubben, who was at Media Days probably, sweeps in and he takes the lead slot on Late Kick Live tonight. Thank you, David. We appreciate it.